Well, hello there, everyone, and it is I, Baby Crone, and guess what Baby Crone is here to talk about today? Science. I know. I'll be back tomorrow to talk about astrology. Don't worry, I got you guys. But today, I'm bringing it back to old school, and let's talk about science. Now, if you remember this tweet, Elon Musk said that he would be talking about Neuralink on Halloween, and he did not. But I was getting worried for a second that we was never going to hear anything about Neuralink. That was an exaggeration. But finally, he did talk about Neuralink, and it was on November 30th. So almost an entire month later. Go figure. Maybe he was too busy with Twitter and dealing with what was going on with Twitter to worry about Neuralink. Well, let's start the presentation and let's recap on what Neuralink has done in the last 18 months. I got a little ahead of myself there. So, just to briefly talk about, and right here I'll put a picture as well. I did talk about Neuralink in October, I believe it was, because I had heard that he was going to be talking about Neuralink once again. So I was just like, I would like to talk to you guys about it because I used to be a biology major and I am still interested in biology. And I have done a paper for this in an English class. So Neuralink has a special place in my heart, on top of learning about Elon Musk and what is going on with Twitter. Just a little side tangent, and I know it looks a little shoddy out there with Elon Musk and Twitter, but I believe sometimes you gotta shake things up and change things up, especially for freedom of speech. And I do believe that since Twitter, even though I do not use Twitter, but I do have a Twitter account, well, the Crone Treasure Chest has a Twitter account. We do not post on it. However, I do believe that from what I've learned, Twitter is a good place to get information, and it is a way to connect with world news and get the world connected together through Twitter. So I believe if we can have less censorship. Well, seriously, there are certain words we can't say and certain things that are censored. Just as an example, when, for example, with White Lives Matter, it was censored on Twitter because they didn't want to stir up politics. And I believe censoring politics or censoring anything in that sense, because you don't want to stir the boat, doesn't get conversation started, because sometimes you have to rile things up in order to get things started. So anyway, moving along, we are going to be talking about Neuralink. Sorry for that side tangent about Twitter, but hey, we are talking about one of Elon Musk's companies. So, to briefly cover, by Elon Musk's words, what is Neuralink and what is the future of Neuralink, and really what is the purpose of Neuralink? Well, right here in this picture you will see where it says the name Cortex. This literally shows, if you ever seen the movie The Matrix, you saw like these numbers, was it numbers? Letters. Numbers, yeah, you saw these numbers trailing down and looking like different codes. Well, this is literally what the brain looks like, encoded messages on a computer simulation. So therefore, guys, he even quoted the Matrix. Not quoted the Matrix, but saying that this may look like the Matrix, but it actually is real brain signatures and not from the Matrix. So he is a bit esoteric in a sense. He even said that his reason is a bit esoteric. But then when I looked up the word esoteric, means that pretty much a niche audience of people will only know the information. I realize it has nothing to do with spiritualism. But hey, we learn new things every day by listening to people with higher educations. So moving on, he said that with artificial intelligence, because technology grows, artificial intelligence is going to grow, and eventually they're going to outgrow humans because they're going to be so much smarter, faster, stronger, and capable than us. So how are we going to defend ourselves against artificial intelligence? Make ourselves basically artificial intelligence. So what are we going to do? We're going to put chips and implants in our brains to basically improve human functions. And yes, it does still have a medical purpose. Like if you were blind, born blind, or lost your vision, you can now see like anybody else. If you are paralyzed, you're able to have your features. Maybe you won't be able to have full, well, he does say full body restoration. Restoration will be possible, where if you're paralyzed, you'll be able to move again. However, currently they only have it where you're able to control technology through brain and thinking. But that is the future of what he's trying to do. So basically, like science fiction movies undo nature and defy laws basically, and make us live forever in a sense, because if we lose a bodily function, we can just have an implant and it's working again. So, and if you think about this is very true, because everything is about speed. He said we got to get faster with this stuff. And if you think about it, we've just recently upgraded to 5G networks. We were on 4G. This is Wi-Fi signals. And 5G is supposed to be that much faster and that much quicker. So therefore, reaction time, instead of it being like this, it's now like this. And that's what we're trying to aim for, like the fastest reaction time as possible. So if we're able to eliminate how quickly it is for your brain to simulate an action to your body, that's basically a one-to-one connection. So that's what Elon Musk is trying to achieve with Neuralink. So what have we found out in the last 18 months, which is a year and 6 months, is that having the implant inserted into your brain only takes 15 minutes with a robot. And you will see later on in the video what this robot is capable of doing. However, I will mention you will be looking at a human brain. If that will gross you out or give you the heebie-jeebies, I am warning you now that we are definitely getting into the human body. I hope you enjoy that. I do. Okay, so moving on. So instead of having this, at first eventually it was supposed to be only 2 implants, and one each in the back of the brain or wherever you needed the implant inserted. However, now they're trying to do the full body, so now you're going to have implants both in your skull, like in your brain, and down your spinal cord. So therefore you're able to, as I will show later on in the video, you could be paralyzed. And then you could feel, and if somebody was like touching your hand, even though you physically can't move your arm, your brain feels it, and you're just like, yes, I feel you touching my hand, even though I cannot move my hand, and I did not previously have feeling in this arm, but now I can somehow feel you touching me now that I have this implant in. This is where Elon is trying to go. And now they have Bluetooth connection, which means you don't have to be hooked up to a computer. Now, in my previous video, there was no wires shown when they were showing you the monkey. However, this monkey's information was being transferred through wires that he was touching, but now he's able to look at something and it moves and thinks for him, basically. And this also means through Bluetooth, what else can you get? Wireless charging. So now you're able to charge, yes, you're able to charge an implant wirelessly in your brain. You just like sit underneath something or attach it to your head, and like, I don't know how long it takes to charge, hopefully speedily, because he wants to sit down for an hour or 2 to be recharged. But you know, we're growing to that point. And also they've created faster tracking, which means, as I said, the quicker the quicker the technology is able to pick up brain signals, the quicker it's able to accurately execute the action that the brain wants, and the quicker it's like that. And now, instead of typing, we can now write. Yes, you can physically write now, and the machine will be able to understand it. As well as I said, there will be motor, like being able to physically move, visual, being able to see, and now physical senses, like having to be able to sense, to feel, touch, see, smell, all these different sensations you'll be able to have restored again. So, what is the future of Neuralink? And here is the simulation of a brain of the cortex, which is you have a frontal and a cerebral cortex. So, however, your cortex basically is the front part of your brain, essentially. And the cortex, this is a scan reading of it. I don't know what the message says. However, also on top of this is a 2-in-1 picture demo. This message, "Welcome to the show," was typed by a monkey. Now, how was it typed by a monkey? There was something lit up, and the monkey, literally, they said the monkey does not know how to spell, so he wasn't trying to oversell the product. But so they told the monkey what to type. It lit up, and the monkey was like, "Okay, I'll click on it." And basically, it clicked and made this message for you guys. And maybe that's what this message is the monkey working its functions. But you'll see later on how that shows out in motion. Ooh. Okay, so to talk about the implant, here is a picture of the implant. It is called the N1. And I think it's a little clever, not really clever, just common sense, not common sense, but it seems weird. Implant N1, that's what I thought. So this is what it looks like, and to give you an accurate size, they say it's about the size of a quarter. So that's how big the implant's going to be in your skull, I mean not in your skull, in your brain, and also down your spine. And this picture shows you right here, this is the brain. These are the channels that they call it, which I think of little wires or like tubes of information where the information is going to be sensed. And then this box is basically the sensor / implant, and it's going to be right there embedded with your skull. And basically this pink part, which is the dura, is like it's like a barrier protection of the brain. So it's like the squish, if you think about it, it's like a squishy cushion to protect it from the skull, so it allows it to, like, I guess if you have a headache, that part is swollen, and it's, if you think about it that way. And then this little flap right here represents the skin being pulled back, so it shows you how, so basically basically the implant is going to be the size of a quarter that they're going to be implanting inside. And so if you see these wires right here sticking out, that's apparently 1,024 channels, or 1,024 wires as I see it. And that's different pathways of communication and senses that's going to be picked up by the sensor. So imagine if you have like 3 of these, you now have like 3,000 and something channels, or 3,000 different sensors picking up information in your brain. And your brain is very complex, so that's why we need a lot of sensors to pick up very different parts of your brain activity. And I will even show later on how closely everything is going to be pictured together. And another way that they are optimizing for faster processing, of course. If you think about like an iPhone, for example, there's 3 cameras right here. And why is that? To get a better quality of a picture. So what they've managed to do is get 4 sensor chips that has about this many channels, put it all together in this one chip. So now it's 4 times as many channels, as I said. I hypothesized 3, but now we actually in reality have 4. So that's about like 4,000 channels of information that's going to be put both Now, not literally 4,000 is going to be put in there, but it's almost like having 4,000. So like each of them, maybe like each 1,000 is like twice as much, and then together they make 4 times as much information if you think about it. So moving on, so you're probably wondering, how is this going to happen? Well, that's a lot. Imagine a human doctor putting in that many wires into your brain. So they created the R1 robot. Think about it. Robot R1. That's just my thinking right there. I don't know if it's true or not. They didn't really say why they named it. I just want to have a reason for why it's named that. But this is what the robot looks like. I know it looks monstrositous, but really the big thing that's very important about this machine is the needles. Now they have many different designs. They're still working on the designs. However, these needles are very important because it's what's going to be inserting these channels or wires into the brain. So you got to think about and this has to have also a magnifying glass, also have a camera sensor, and also have a drill to drill into your skull. Now you're probably thinking, how is a robot going to know when to stop drilling deep into the skull? Well, actually, they have it tested where the robot knows when to stop drilling. Like it understands soft, fleshy tissue versus hard material like a computer. So therefore, if it's like drilling through a computer and then it's like hitting a soft spot, it's like, I sense it. And it's basically stopped. And you're probably thinking, if it stops once it senses it, it's already done its damage. Well, no, if you think about it, it's the same technology for self-driving cars that are able to stop and sense when there could be like an accident and stop ahead of time for you to prevent an accident. That's basically what the robot's doing. It's able to sense before it hits a soft spot that it's like, oh, I've reached through the skull, because people have different skull thicknesses and also different thicknesses of, not thickness, but different levels of hardness. So therefore, this robot has to be accommodate everybody's skull. So that's how they're able to make it diverse and not have to have so many different machines, because how are you going to be able to test this until you're drilling, basically. And also, as I said, we have a lot of different blood cells in the brain because the brain is very complex and sensitive. And it's a really soft tissue, basically. I think of it as jello because it looks jiggly, in my opinion. So therefore, it has a lot of blood vessels. So therefore, this robot is also capable of avoiding the blood vessels. So that way you don't get anything punctured in your brain and therefore have permanent damage or blood draining out of your brain. So we do not want that, because you could bleed to death and also have, as I said, damage. So the robot is able to prevent this. And I will be showing a video later on how I will be showing a video right now on how the robot is able to do this.
And that enables us to do vessel avoidance in real time. So as I mentioned, the brain is moving, and where we place targets in the beginning may not be where you want to insert at the moment the needle is going down there. So the robot can actually detect the vessels.
Insert it into the targets that we predetermined in the targeting view. So we're going to see a couple more insertions. The whole process of inserting
So the implant process, as you guys had just saw, this is the needle being inserted into the brain, and this is all the different insertions that the robot is making to implant these different channels into the brain, basically. And this is the needle right here taking so basically before the implant is fully inserted, it's basically sitting right, well, not literally sitting, there's probably something holding it up. It's being held up against the skull as the robot is basically taking all the threads and needles and sticking it inside the brain. And then once it's all connected, then basically like a closed lid, the implant's going to be plopped right in there. Not plopped, fitted snugly right in there. And so that's how the implant process goes. I hope you guys enjoyed that demo, and I did say it was going to be seeing the human brain. I hope you guys enjoy this. So I did say that it's able to track how we're able to write. And so because everybody has different writing styles, you got lefties and righties. You have very like sloppy handwriting, like people like to call chicken scratch, and you got like really beautiful handwriting. Then you have some people that write in cursive, and you got people that write gigantic. You got people that write like really tiny, and you have people that literally diagnose and decode handwriting to tell about somebody's personality. So therefore, this implant has to be able to do that as well. So therefore they have to go through many different types of styles of writing to accommodate for this as well. This is why it's going to take a very long time for them to get to this point, because they still have to get FDA approved. I did forget to mention that earlier, but it was on the slide. And because they have to take all this into account, it's going to be very hard to make this viable for the people and the mass public at the moment, because there's just so much that has to be programmed. And once they get FDA approved, that doesn't mean it's going to be on the market. It has to be human tested, because they've only been testing on monkeys and pigs, which are very close in brain and structures to the human. That's why they're used as test animals. And if they're able to work with the pigs and monkeys, then it should be able to work with the human brains. But of course they're not humans, so we still got to work on humans and figure out what's going to work with the humans, and is it going to understand humans, and is it going to be able to adapt to humans. So that's where we're working. That's I'm sorry, I'm thinking as if I'm a scientist. So this is where they are, Neuralink, working on with their implant N1. So as I said earlier, there's going to be inserts into the spine, and these inserts are going to be placed in here, and the outside is basically cushion fluid, and then the stuff inside is like soft tissue where the information and all the nerves and stuff is placed in, and then it's all encapsulated inside a bone. So they're implanting it. They're going to implant sensors into the soft part of the spine where all the information is, and of course they're going to be avoiding blood vessels there too. Got to be careful too. We don't want any spinal injuries too while trying to fix spinal injuries. And then on top of that, so as they said, a feather will tickle the hand, and then that will sense to the spine, I'm being tickled. But usually if there's a spinal injury or a brain injury, there's some disconnect where the brain's not going to pick up that signal. But now that the Neuralink N1 implant has been implanted into the brain and implanted into the spine, it's able to connect to the brain, and then the brain's able to, the N1 implant in the brain, and then that's able to sense to where it's connected, where it's supposed to go, and stimulate the brain like, hey, you're being tickled, and then maybe if it tickles, you can laugh, like hee hee, and beforehand you couldn't do that, but now with the N1 implant, you're able to laugh at being tickled. And this is my favorite part. I can't wait to show you guys. This is a pig. I was astonished when I saw this. So here, same process, except this time, instead of being tickled or feeling a sense, now we want to move the body. And this pig is alive, and they're literally moving the pig's limb against the body's will by stimulating the body because they were able to pick it up and track it. So now they're wanting to do the reverse, and now they're going to, instead of track emotion, stimulate emotion. So you're gonna see the pig doing its own little thing, and then it's like, basically, if you think about it, being electrocuted, and the pig's leg is like, leg down. I love it. Oh my god, this is so good.
See, we're able to track the position of the joints and also stream neural data as well. Okay, so let's stimulate an electrode. So here's one electrode on one thread that when we stimulate causes a flexion movement of the leg. So on the left, you can see the movement of the joints, and you can also see the time series of the stimulation pattern in yellow.
So, also Elon Musk talked about wanting to be able to restore vision. Now, this was very fascinating. I wish they literally had a demo to explain this one. But anyway, the idea is that the brain has two ways of picking up information, and that's from your two eyeballs to make one image. So this is what the brain looks like through the matrix, or what the brain sees in digital form. And this is what you see in literal reality. So you're able to, so think about it. This is like, I like to think about it, virtual reality, like the metaverse. This is what it looks like in a virtual space. But this is what your brain is picking up. And in order to physically see this has to be translated into pictures and colors. So therefore you're able to see this image. Oh man, oh man. And then lastly, I am going to show a little bit about how the tracking feature is much faster, and how this is able to interpret the brain's movement by tracking where you're looking as well.
Minimize the time it takes for a spike in the brain to impact the movement of the cursor on the screen. If you have lag or jitter in this control loop, the cursor becomes hard to control. Phase lock aligns the edge of each packet that we send off the implant to the exact moment that the Bluetooth radio is going to wake up. This minimizes the time it takes for a spike in the brain to be incorporated into the prediction of our neural network.
So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you guys are excited for the future. I feel like we're living a sci-fi movie watching this happen. And just because I have a love for medical and also a bit of sci-fi and like artificial intelligence, it makes me not love, but it just makes me have a little bit more respect for Elon Musk. And even though I did learn he didn't invent Tesla, he basically bought out Tesla like he bought out Twitter. But basically the things that he puts his name to seem like forward thinking ideas, and I'm all about forward thinking and changing the future, and also technology and science. So with that, I hope you guys enjoy this, and I will see you guys tomorrow to talk about astrology. Gotta get back to the esoteric, gotta look up to the stars and understand ourselves before we can understand technology, before technology take us over. Alright, see you guys later. Bye!